What's up, Zoomies? Welcome back to the HVAC Zoomies podcast with Rhydon and Rachael. We are happy to have you back for episode 4, which is episode 149 as a bonus show for HVAC R&D. So, lights are going up on the board.
Oh,
it's lights. No, it's lights out.
Oh,
jump. Now you're jumping the gun.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay, again.
It's lights out.
And away we go. You know what I just realized? We missed an opportunity to name this HVAC R&R.
Well, I mean, the good thing is it's technically Atzenhofer Incorporated, and it's a DBA as HVAC R&D. There's always room for growth.
Oh, perfect.
Which then, if it's HVAC R&R, then we should just record every show from like beachfront property in Malibu or something, right?
Yes, relaxing and reclining, yeah.
Yes, or refrigeration and relaxation. Which means we hang out.
The two go hand in hand.
They do. It's like a nice, cooled room with a cold beer and relaxation. Speaking of drinking, our last show was a little later in the afternoon, so it was perfect time to pop a beer. But today it is not. So, you drinking anything on the show?
I am into my second cup of coffee.
Nice.
Yep.
Cream, sugar, or how do you take it?
Almond milk. Just a little.
Okay. Just a touch.
Mm-hmm.
So I am experimenting. We bought a thing of store-bought matcha. Have you ever had it before?
I am not a fan of matcha.
So I have to say I'm not either. I think it probably tastes like the grass from underneath Lando's car when he went full lawnmower mode at the race.
Correct.
Or it, potentially it could taste like some of the burnt grass from all the practice sessions. It kept red flagging it.
With a little bit of dishwater in there. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, or it's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean. I got a jar of dirt. That's kind of what it tastes like. It's not so hot. Now, however, there is a new International Delight creamer that is a cherry macaroon that if you put that in your Nespresso frother and make a cold foam out of it, it actually makes it so much better. So that's probably what it tastes like if you're Max Verstappen and you put in some Japanese cherry blossoms and you crush it at Suzuka with a shit car.
He killed it. Yes. That's, I imagine what it tastes like exactly.
So yeah, we'll get to the race in a minute because, as usual, everybody this show is about HVAC news real fast. So Rachel and I will knock that out, and then we will get to the racing. So article number 1 from Cooling Post is the U.S. Border Patrol is stepping up their game because now they have arrested a Georgia-based HVAC contracting company, or at least the CEO of one, who was illegally importing 500 cylinders of HFC refrigerants from Peru.
Peruvian refrigerant.
Peruvian illegal refrigerant.
Love it.
Now, in past years, I've talked about articles on the regular R&D show about illegal refrigerant going into Turkey and going into Hungary and going into different parts of Europe. Mm-hmm. But this is the first. This is definitely the first recorded incident I've seen of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol getting involved with somebody from down here in the South. Who knows? Who knows what else is coming?
What makes it illegal?
So the HFCs. So my guess is it has to do with it being a high GWP refrigerant, which is not allowed. And a lot of that stuff, you can't import or export it anyway. So.
Because I was wondering if, we still have HFCs, but yes, okay, we can't import it or export it, but we still use them. They're still here.
So here it is. So it is in violation of the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act, which went into place in April of 2022. So it is unlawful to import R410A because of that act. So under the act, his company could not lawfully import the HFCs into the United States because it did not have the required EPA-issued allowances. So refrigerant manufacturers have EPA license in order to import, export refrigerant. Obviously, a regular everyday contractor doesn't have that same level of licensure.
Interesting.
And on top of it, he had his employees do it, so he passed the buck anyway.
Oh, okay,
Ooh,
that's dirty. That's
right.
dirty.
Score 1 for the Border Patrol. Good job, guys. Keeping us safe from illegally imported refrigerant.
You know, I got to give it up to your Border Patrol. I went through, I went to do some training last week in upstate New York, and I got through the border in a service vehicle without getting searched. This is probably the first time ever that I have been across without getting searched. I had all my documentation and everything, and I mean, it was completely, obviously legit, but like, it was actually a pleasant experience.
Nice.
I left with plenty of time just in case, and I made it across, and so I had a little extra time for shopping, which is always good.
Oh, what'd you go shopping for?
Just junk.
Just
really.
junk?
I bought stuff from Nike
I was
and
thinking
Adidas.
maybe you went to Harbor Freight.
And no, it's just, I just had some extra time, which was nice for me not to be rushed, but I fully expected to be detained and questioned and all that stuff. So I left with 24 hours advance notice.
I never would have thought about trying to cross the border with a service truck.
It was empty. In all fairness, it is the spare truck, so it was empty, and I made sure it was like I had everything.
Now was it like a regular pickup truck, or was it the like the white panel van?
No, it's the pickup truck, but with a cap and like a rollout bed and stuff. So I thought, if they see the weight, they might question it because the rollout bed is crazy.
What is it, like one of those decked packages? Have you seen those? It's probably a different name, but it's probably similar to what it is. Yeah, like the whole bed like rolls out and stuff.
Yes, exactly. I'm at the tender age of 46. I am done with crawling in vehicles anymore. I've done my share of, like crawling around my service vehicle looking for stuff. Now it comes to me.
I like it. I remember back in the day when Cajun Joe and I had it was a Ford Econoline. I think it was an E350, so it was a one-ton van. Was maroon, which was perfect since we lived in Swain County. We were the Maroon Devils, so I literally had the Maroon Machine service truck. But Dad built this whole custom slide-out shelf rack in the back because he never bought anything to shelve his vehicles. He custom built all of his shelving for everything he does to this day, just about, unless it was like a toolbox bed that was on a used truck he bought.
I feel like that would be an MTO issue here. I think Ministry of Transportation might have a problem with that.
Which, I mean, it was a wooden rollout, whatever. But I know we had, I think it was five welcoming committee. Somebody shut a door outside.
Is Kristen home now?
No, she is actually at a women's HVAC lunch.
Yes, girl, yes.
With a group of 7 other ladies down here in Charlotte. So yeah, I'm excited to hear about how that goes for her. I hope she has a good time, meet some cool people. I'm pretty sure Rebecca from HVAC Tactical is there.
Oh, cool. I love her.
So Chris is having lunch with her and 6 other ladies from the HVAC community in Charlotte. I'm curious, like I said, who all the rest of them are.
Love it.
To know if I know anybody. So it'll be a fun debrief when she gets back home.
Yeah. Tell her to put it on Insta so I can also debrief with her.
Right.
I love hearing about more women in the trade. So
yes.
Love it.
So.
Sorry. Off topic.
You're fine. Off topic. I think it was like 5 shelves wide and 3 shelves tall. And it literally made the back of this van just squat, even though it was like a 1-ton van, because like one of them was nothing but black pipe fittings. One was all the copper fittings. One was all the soldering stuff. I mean, it's Cajun Joe. I mean, he had a solution for everything. His van was always organized chaos, which drove me nuts. But he freaking knew where every damn thing was.
Yep.
which his office was the same way. Also drove me nuts, but knew where everything
Yeah.
was.
Smoking Joe was a pillar of organization, but organization only he knew. So,
Exactly.
yeah, those Joes, I tell you.
Moving on to our next article, another one with Copeland in this one. So Copeland invests in thermoacoustic heat pumps, which I'm not really sure what that is. So we're going to
Mm-hmm.
read this article and figure out what it is. So Copeland has invested in Blue Heart Energy, a Netherlands-based startup developing a novel thermoacoustic-based heating technology. So Blue Heart Energy uses thermoacoustics, a technology or technique which involves creating sound waves in a closed circuit to generate heat and cold. While the technology is not new, it is being harnessed by Blue Heart to power heat pumps in residential buildings.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, Copeland is the leader in the industry, so it's good for them to put some more money into innovation. So
Yep, so thermoacoustic technology is seen to have the potential to complement current compressor technologies with a compact design and quiet operation, particularly suitable for smaller sized residences. So, maybe this is something that's could be a multifamily solution long term as
mm-hmm.
well. So interesting.
Technology in this trade is just leaps and bounds right now. It's just there's so many new things coming out to make the equipment better and make our jobs easier, sometimes harder depending, but I
Correct.
mean there's just so much technology out there, and I love that we're seeing these bigger companies like invest in innovation.
Speaking of innovation and smart home stuff, so the last article we'll go through real quick is called "The Future of Living: Why a Smart Home is the Key to Health, Comfort, and Convenience." Which this is a ACHR News article, and when I was at AHR with Chris, she and I went through the Google booth, which I will be honest, I have dogged Google Nest a bunch, not just on this show at times, but also with contractors and other things because it's not really my favorite smart stat. I don't like that they went to the consumer before they then went to the distributor and the contractor. So it's a very difficult product for contractors and distributors to make any money on.
Hmm.
The price that we're attempting to even sell it to the contractor half time is roughly what the homeowner could go buy it for.
Right.
Now, the difference is the homeowner version is usually only a 2-year warranty, but the pro version that the contractor buys is a 5-year warranty.
Hmm.
But you and I both know homeowners do not pay attention worth a crap to anybody's warranty.
Yep.
It's a fight no matter what you do.
Hmm.
Um, However, it was interesting to see all the new things that they can use as part of the whole Google Nest bundle and so on and so forth when we were in Orlando. And then they allowed me to bring a group of students through there for the AHR student tours and workforce development, which I've been a part of. So that was really cool. They even gave one of the guys a free Google Nest Pro 4 for spinning the wheel and going through all the
Nice.
stuff with them. So that was neat. Got a picture of that on one of the reels from back in February. Also, speaking of advanced new home automation stuff, good buddy of mine, Mr. Keith Flores, known as HVAC God to all of you out there,
Yep.
has been working diligently on HG Home Guardian for the last several years. And I am pumped to say that here in the next couple of weeks, he is a guest on the traditional HVAC R&D show where we talk specifically about HVAC. And I'm really looking forward to that. His first episode, which ended up being episodes, I think 44 and 45. We spoke with him for like 3 hours. Initially, it was one where I had to break it up because this isn't Joe Rogan's show. We don't have time for a 3 hour podcast in this industry. I'm excited to have him back. He's always a massive wealth of knowledge and information. He's also been a very supportive friend ever since I got to know him through social media. So, Keith, if you're listening, I'm excited for our show. So, yes, very excited about that.
No, so am I. Yeah, sounds like it's going to be a great show. But on the smart homes front, like, I mean, this sort of stuff has been, again, like with innovation, things have been progressing so quickly. There is a bit of trial and error that I feel a lot of these houses go through.
Yes.
And so that is my only apprehension with it, but I think this is the way to go. Like, I mean, we don't have a Nest, we have Ecobee, which is
Yep.
kind of a Canadian brand, but not really. But they so the like it is neat that we can do the things we do just through the stat. But does Joe, a homeowner, yes, they can go and buy it, but are they going to be able to install it and service it and all the things that goes with that?
No, but
No.
they sure think they can.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, that's what keeps their business going, right?
That's right. Well, and that's
Mhm.
where, the DIY community has tried to take over so much of that market. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry, the way the technology for the heat pumps and everything else themselves is going, that's really not going to be a long-term play. And I think
Mm-mm.
that's really where I've had most of my headaches with smart home stats, is because in a lot of situations, if you're pairing a smart stat with an inverter, it usually ends up being a nightmare,
Yep.
because that smart stat doesn't understand runtime. It wants to reduce runtime because it
Yeah.
thinks that saves you power. What it doesn't understand is that the elongated runtime at much lower percentage of run
Very good
does
thing.
save you power. And it
Yeah.
also saves you even more power in the long run, because it helps sustain the comfort in your home, as opposed to it just up and down and up and down and up and down.
And on yeah, starts and stops. That's kills our equipment. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I will say one thing to the DIY community. I'm guilty of it too. I've used it a number of times. It's got me out of jams. I found fixes for things on Reddit, like one time
That one
recently,
still
and I was
blows
like,
me.
"Isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?"
that blows my mind. It blows me. That was a great outtake.
Oh gosh, it was so good.
um, that blows my mind. Find
I
it on
know.
Reddit of all
I
places.
found it on Reddit. I had the manufacturer in looking at this thing, and I found the fix on Reddit. So, I mean, I spent weeks sifting through the information, and I know how to sift through that stuff because of the technical background, but like,
Yep.
not everybody has that, right? So that's how I was able to get through it. But yeah, uh, it's a lot of sifting through stuff. So I like to tell apprentices and things, use those tools. They're there for you to use, but know what you're reading. Know what you're going to have to do the background. You're going to have to do the work to figure out if that works or not. And you will fail and try again and fail again. It's fine,
No,
but
absolutely, 100%.
you'll learn. Yeah.
Since 1961, JP Lamborn Company has been the name behind some of the best flexible duct products in the business. A third-generation family-owned company that built its legacy on integrity, innovation, service. That same spirit drives them today, with antimicrobial technology, top-tier materials, and a relentless focus on quality. When contractors need a product they can stand behind, JPL delivers. It's more than just flex duct, it's peace of mind. JPL, the name you know, the quality you trust, and the flex that delivers. Well, there you go, folks. HVAC news solved, sorted, and moved on to next week. So now we turn our focus to the, excuse me, let me wake back up from the Lenovo Japanese Grand Prix.
Oof.
What a damn snooze fest. I hate to
I
say it.
know.
I was
Okay.
so excited. I thought
I
it was going to be
know.
a really good, interesting strategy race, because I know it's hard to pass, but I mean, everybody was well behaved into turn one and lap
Yeah.
one, and everybody, it's almost like everybody just settled in and was happy with where they were and was going to accept it,
Except for Max.
except for Max, which he was happy to settle in first
Oh
and keep it. I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
but especially on a track like that, he could have been driving a tractor and most of the time kept him behind him, because he knows how to control that race.
Yeah.
Which, I was happy to see them win it in the Honda livery, and kind of have a good Honda send off. I loved that their pit box. They were the only team that had the drivers' names in all Japanese, where everyone else had everything in English.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Homage to their engine manufacturer, who goes to Aston Martin with Adrian Newey next year.
interesting. We haven't talked about Adrian Newey at all.
No, we really haven't.
I
Actually,
know.
that's a much more interesting than this race was. So go for it.
It was. Gosh, it was. Um, yeah, what was it? The top six didn't move any places. I think that's how it
I'm
played
pretty
out.
sure. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Max, Lando, Oscar, Charles, George, Kimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No,
The,
actually, did Lewis jump? Isaac? I thought. Let me look.
yeah, compared to
You need to double check.
qualifying, right?
So yeah, Lewis jumped Hajar. I think
Okay.
that's pretty much it. Yep.
Yeah. So what? Top
And then
seven didn't move. Good.
Fernando Alonso jumped to 11th.
The guy can't catch a break though. He ended up
And
in
Carl, yeah,
17th.
no, he finished.
Oh.
He finished. Where did he finish?
Oh, sorry. I am looking at the wrong stats.
Yeah,
That's
no. So
why.
he finished 11th. Yuki finished 12th. Poor Yuki.
Oh, you know what though? He
His
did
first
great.
race thrown in with a couple of days. So
Yeah, yeah.
he also he got royally screwed in QP, not QP2, in Q2 with the burning grass red flag that totally jacked up a flying lap for him. So I think he would have qualified top 10 had some of that not happened. But when the track just got fully congested for the last 7-8 minutes, he struggled to get it back where he was gonna probably be.
Yeah, and he did jump three spots, right? He was 15th in qualifying, and then
Was he 14th? Because he was 14th and Liam was 13th, and I was like, oh Lord, here it comes. Like here, I can see the memes now. They're already writing themselves. Liam had a rough day. He ended up finishing 17th.
Yeah, so that that right there kind of proves that he's not quite ready.
Nope. So let's look at bold predictions from us for Suzuka. So I said that Oscar was going to win it, that Yuki was going to get a top 10, and Max was going to get a top 3. So, hey, at least I got one of those.
You got one. You got
Don't
one.
get bonus points because he won. Just kidding.
I'm going to say no to that.
I'm going to say no to that. Williams' solid showing, which we shared that one.
Yeah.
Alex maintained position.
Mm-hmm. Alex is doing great.
He finished
season.
within, what did he finish? How close was he behind? So he was 3 seconds behind Hajar.
Mm-hmm.
So he stayed in the race. Now Williams had some issues. I know he was on the hot mic a couple of times, frustrated with his shifting, which Max actually also had a problem with shifting early in the race. He said through sector 1, which, the beauty of these modern technology in race cars, they can fix your shifting algorithms from the pit box. Back in the day, you just had to deal with it and figure it out.
Yeah.
But overall, so here we'll run through the whole order real quick. Max, Lando, Oscar, Charles, George, Kimmy, Lewis, Isaac, Alex, Ollie, Fernando, Yuki, Pierre, Carlos, Jack, Nico, Liam, Esteban, Gabriel, and Lance. Oh, poor Lance Stroll.
Ooh.
And again, we're going to dog on poor Lance, but you know what? He was the only one that scored points for Aston Martin this year.
Yes.
He owns them all. I think this is one where his overall skill drop to some of the people is brought out in the open a bunch more. When he's on a track that's got room to pass and he has room to be fast with DRS and other stuff, I think he's a bit more competitive. But when it comes to a very technical circuit that's about hitting your marks or it punishes you, he's just not there. I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's true. He has been carrying this team. I was happy to see Alonso did make it, up the rankings a little bit. Because I was starting to worry.
Well, him and Pierre Gasly were the only ones that actually were attempting to do anything on lap one.
Yeah, so I was happy to see him fight it out and actually make it through a race for one.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, but that the top rankings, yeah, they didn't move. It was very boring that whole race, but the middle of the pack was fighting it out pretty good for a while there, so it was good.
they did, but I feel like most any overtaking that happened because of who pitted when, and then it worked itself right
Yeah,
back out anyway, so it didn't even matter.
yeah.
So let's say Rachel's Suzuka bold predictions:
Mm-hmm.
Lando to win, Merc with a double top five. They were freaking close. Hajar
Were
with the
they
top.
not? Oh yeah.
No, fifth and
Mm.
sixth.
Shoot.
Hajar in the top 10, nailed it. And then William, we shared the Williams solid showing. I mean, technically, we could give each other a point for that one because
Mm-hmm.
Alex's 2 points he scored means Williams have now scored more points in 3 races than they did all of last year.
Yes.
And all of
Yes.
those points are his.
And does that not put them above? Where are they? Oh no, they're not. I thought they were above Ferrari, but they're not in the standings.
Nope, not there
No,
yet.
not yet.
So, yeah, overall team standings McLaren 111, Mercedes 75, Red Bull 61, Ferrari with 35, Williams with 19, Haas with 15, which Ollie Behrman
Amazing.
cracking the top 10 again. The kid's got some skill. I'll give it to him. I think
Yeah.
he's better than people realize he is.
Yeah, because he's in a shit car.
He's in a roughly shit car. His haircut doesn't help.
Oh god.
I can't stand that hairstyle. Sorry.
No,
I know
I
it's
know.
all over with that generation right now. I think it looks retarded. Pardon my
Yes,
French.
I agree.
Say Aston Martin with 10. So Lance Stroll in 7th right there. Racing Bulls with 7 points. Sauber with 6, which, hey, they didn't score a point all last year. So
Yeah.
good on you, Sauber.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alpine Renault, bottom of the table, which,
0.
Gasly was knocking on the door. Just didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll probably have one upgrade that gets him into a top 10 once or twice during the year, but I don't really, I don't see them getting out of the bottom.
No.
All their
no.
money is going towards 26.
And Jack Doohan, I don't know if I haven't really paid enough attention to him because there's been so much else happening.
Well, and he didn't have a lot of practice running in Suzuka because he crashed out in
Right.
P2.
That's the only notice you take.
Obliterated that car.
Whoa, that was a pretty fantastic crash. So I think we're tied with our predictions.
Yep. Well, and then dang it, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. But so in P1 in Suzuka, Alpine used a reserve driver because they had to use their one of their 4 times, I believe it is, that they've got to put a rookie in the car. Which, and after his performance, did you see Haas signed him to be their reserve driver?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So his showing in P1 for Alpine got him a contract to go to Haas to be their reserve driver.
Nice. There's a lot of fresh
blood.
drivers. Yeah, fresh drivers out there. So I think like the next season and this season are going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So race conditions, there was heavy rain before the race. So, the race started, there was still little wet patches here and there on the straights in some places. But, weather, I don't really feel played a huge role in it. Because even though the rain kind of washed away the rubbering on the track, the fact that the racing line is just so solid either way around, it kind of rubbered back up pretty quick, especially even with it being half of what is all section or all sector 1 was all new tarmac anyway. So I don't really feel like race conditions played a big role. Now, had it not rained, I think we could have seen a red flag or two because we saw how many red flags in practices and qualifying for grass on fire. I think had it not rained, we really probably could have had a much more interesting race then because something would have caught on fire somewhere.
Yeah. I thought there might yeah, the weather obviously is always a factor, but I really did think that there would be a little more strategy put into that to make it a more exciting race, but that didn't happen either.
No, the strategies were absolute crap from pretty much everybody other than Red Bull.
Yes.
The fact that Max can drive the wheels off a car and that
Mhm.
Red Bull is pretty bang on with strategy, he's still got a pretty dang good chance that he can win 5 in a row.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Even though that car is not great. I don't think a race coming up this weekend, I don't think he's got a prayer because there's too much room for top speed to beat him.
Yeah.
But these technical tracks, he can win, hands down. So I guess let's talk, crappy strategy. So McLaren were second and third.
Hmm.
Now, Mercedes pitted George, and then the lap after, McLaren pits Oscar.
Yeah.
Seems to be to cover off George, but George wasn't catching him.
No. No.
George had a good car, but that Mercedes is not as fast as those McLarens. So he was not, unless there was something that was going to happen. I didn't see the point of why they pitted him there.
The strategy isn't great.
They don't have one. I don't feel like they have one. And then they tried to dummy Max into pitting. Red Bull's not that stupid because they were already in control of the race. So they weren't going to do that. And then the next lap around, the next lap or 2 laps later, Max pits, and then they pit Lando with him.
Right. Yes, I remember that.
And I guess maybe their thought was they'll beat him off the pit lane, but that didn't work out, did it, McLaren? Because there's only one lane when you leave the pit in Suzuka. And sorry, Lando, you weren't beside him. And even if your wheel got up there, you weren't on the road.
No.
You're not on the road, bud. Now, Charles came in at that exact same time, and had Red Bull been another 1/10 of a second slower, because that was actually a shit pit stop. It was like 3.3 seconds. I think Hadjar had the best Red Bull or Racing Bulls pit stop for the race at 2.4. But had they held Max up another 1/10 of a second, he'd have lost that race because he wouldn't have got out quick enough, because he would have gotten stuck having to allow Charles to get into his pit box.
Yeah.
So they got lucky on that one.
They did. You were like, I think Red Bull does by far have the best strategy. I think what's his name? Zach Brown. He tends to be a little more reactive and a little there's almost too much emotion into
but Zach's not the team
does.
principal.
No,
that's
but
the problem.
He is still calling the shots.
So you'd think that Andrea would be pushing to have a bit more control over that, but at the same time, it's like, hey, I didn't pick it, not my problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I really thought they would have offset pit strategy a little bit to try to either overcut or undercut Max, whichever one was going to be more powerful on the day. That didn't happen.
They didn't do it.
And then, with 10 laps to go, Oscar is all over Lando.
Mm-hmm.
All over him.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he reel him in, let him off, reel him in, let him off. And he's like, let me try to catch Max. And you know what? They should have let him.
Yeah.
Because worst case scenario, they give him a shot for 10 laps. He can't do it. You switch him back. Because no one else was coming in right
not even close.
Smack behind him. They could have swapped again easily.
Yep.
So I don't understand. I don't understand that.
I don't understand their strategy at all.
And Oscar, he nearly dove in on Lando at turn 1 with 8 or 9 laps left when he was 0.4 seconds behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I think he knew they weren't going to let him, so he just backed off at that point. He's like, well, I'm just going to cruise the rest of the way home because...
That's so infuriating, though.
I want McLaren... You should... Now, if it was 3 races to the end of the season and you're trying to solidify your points position, fine. Mm-hmm. You guys were a double podium regardless.
Yeah.
Try to win the damn race.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 2-on-1
close
with a guy that's not got as good a car as you. Try to win the damn race. I don't get it.
As close as they were too at the end throughout the whole race, basically.
Yeah. Now I do think that Max was controlling them. Because when Lando tried to start putting the hammer down, Max just put the hammer down in front of him, and Lando really couldn't get it within a second.
Yeah.
Max was controlling it.
Yeah.
But
that's what Max does.
I think Oscar would have went after him harder because it was his birthday, for crying out loud. Give the kid a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I was very disappointed with McLaren.
I really want to understand the papaya rules a little better. I just don't get it.
I don't either.
Mm-mm.
Outside of that, they're really, we didn't have a DNF, we didn't have a wreck.
No, we
Um,
had nothing.
the most excitement we had was, Carlos had to cut the chicane twice, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That was it.
it was a snoozer. I was
It
so
really was.
disappointed.
Same. I'm so glad you're on the same page because I was jazzed for this one and I was like, oh, so let down.
Now at one point, I guess one exciting fact when we talk rookies a little bit,
Mhm.
Kimi Antonelli was the youngest to lead a race, I believe.
Yes, I saw that.
So they did
Yes.
get that. Now imagine if we'd had a safety car or some grass catch on fire when he was in the lead and they got a red flag free pit stop. Then
Yeah.
he would have become the youngest race winner in history, but that window has now also passed. So Max, you remain the king as the youngest winner in history. What's up, trade crew? You've heard the buzz, you've seen the press gang at every single AHR. Contractors across the country are ditching their torches for RLS press fittings and they're not looking back. Why? Because RLS lets you finish faster, safer, and cleaner. From rooftops to mechanical rooms, crawl spaces, and attics, it's a press and go solution that's leak tested, UL recognized, and proudly made in America. Make the switch to RLS and take the heat out of your installs, literally. RLS, rapid locking system, press forward and press on.
Yep.
But now we go to Bahrain, so we're going to the Middle East
Yes.
for
I like Bahrain. Bahrain's always a good one.
so the triple header of this month continues.
And I wonder if it's because usually Bahrain is the first.
Yep,
Yes. It's usually the first. And so but it is a pretty technical course and I'm intrigued. I
it's
think it's gonna be
technical
good.
to a point, but it's
Yeah.
got huge straights. And
Yes.
that plays right into the hands of the McLarens,
The Williams.
the Williams, the Ferraris, and the Mercs.
Hmm.
Which maybe not the Ferrari. The Ferraris, I feel like, went backwards again.
I don't know what's
They're
happening.
having struggles.
I
They're
know.
not in a good spot.
No, no,
Um,
they're not. Charles Leclerc is a fantastic driver, and he's been disappointed with his performance this year.
Now, technically, did he not become since he scored points this weekend? I think he was on 1,499 points for Ferrari, and Michael was at 1,500 flat. So I think this past
Really?
weekend Charles became the highest point scoring Ferrari driver ever. Now, in the time he's been racing, the amount of races per season is drastically higher than it was when all those guys were winning back-to-back championships and races back in the day. So, now that we're hitting 22 to 24 races a season, where before it was really 10 to 15, roughly, it seemed
Yeah.
like. I feel like, he's had the ability to accumulate points at a rate that drivers in the past haven't, but he's still very young. So he could really
Mhm.
set a massively high points bar, especially if he could start, getting in on the podiums again.
Mhm.
But that's still huge for him. He's Ferrari through and through. I have a hard time seeing him ever race for somebody else at this point. I think he's going to be Ferrari till the end.
I hope so. I think he suits the Ferrari well. He needs to figure out what's happening right now
Yeah.
because he's like currently he's what in sixth place. Yeah, in the driver
Yeah. So
standings.
driver standing, Lando with 62 points, Max with 61,
Yeah.
Oscar with 49, George with 45, Kimi with 30. Get in there, rookie boy.
I love it.
Charles with 20, Alex with 18. Oh, so I was wrong. I forgot. Carlos did get a point in China because of disqualification. So he has one of the
That's
19
right.
points. I gave them all
Yeah.
to Alex. Sorry, Carlos. Love you, buddy. Get in there. Let's get some points this week. Lewis in 8th, Esteban in 9th, Lance in 10th. Then Nico, Ollie, Isaac, Yuki, Carlos. And then Pierre, Fernando, Liam, Jack, and Gabrielle with goose
Zero.
eggs. in the bottom 5 down there.
Yeah,
Now,
Liam. Oh, what a golden opportunity Liam Lawson had, and I still think they jumped the gun, but
time will tell.
yeah.
Helmet came out and admitted that Yuki is in that car for the rest of the year after this
Nice.
race. So I think there were some setbacks, but I think Yuki proved enough to the team, and I'm guessing a lot of it with feedback conversations with engineers and everyone else that they think he will be the better fit for the rest of the season.
100%, I agree.
They should have just put him there to begin with and avoided all this headache for both of them.
Heartache for all of us.
Yep.
Really.
Yep. But, get in there, Yuki. Let's see what you can do the rest of the year.
Oh, he's going to be great. He's going to be, I think, honestly, I think for him to land up where he landed up this week, he did really well for his first race in that car.
I think so.
I think we're going to see, I'm jumping the gun, but I think we're going to see him in the points.
Well, and he was running, like I said, he was running well in qualifying. It seemed to be, he seemed to have better pace until, he got caught out pretty roughly thanks to that red flag.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we'll see, especially this is kind of trial by fire. He's got 3 races in a row, just bang, bang, bang. So I think it'll kind of show, it'll be easier to see some progress in between races real quick to see what happens. But it'll be interesting. So, we go from heavily technical Suzuka with 1 DRS zone to, the Sector 2 is technical for Bahrain, but Sectors 1 and 3 are really speed straights.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time to be won and lost in Sector 2, but you still also have, you've got 3 DRS zones. So we've got down, there's 2 in Sector, well, I guess technically it's kind of out of Sector 3 into Sector 1 is the first DRS zone. The second one is the straight between 3 and 4, and then the next one is the straight between 10 and 11. There is not a DRS zone down the big straight in Sector 3, but I think if you slipstream it right, you don't even need one.
We'll see what that corner is a little more forgiving. So
it is.
There's going to be some interesting overtakes, I think.
Yep, I think we'll see. I think this track plays much better to lots of late break overtakes.
Mm-hmm.
And, and the first corner almost always sees some kind of catastrophe before it's over with. So I think it'll be a fun race. It's 57 laps.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see kind of how we go from technical to high speed. Who do you think's got the main advantage? Obviously McLaren, but after that, what are you thinking?
I think the Mercs. I think the Mercs can do it. I think they're both really good drivers, and I think this track will play to their strengths.
I wish I knew what their tire compound levels were going to be, because there's part of me, I wish they would almost be like all the softest tires so they get forced into at least a 2-stop.
2 stops, yeah.
Because I hate to say it, the ones where you can just run long and 1 stop it all the time just they get boring.
Yeah, and we need some excitement
I want to see
that last race.
I need some exciting racing, everyone.
Yeah.
So, well then I guess
the good thing with it, the good thing with it being a little boring on the last race was that you knew what was happening at the front of the pack, so it almost forced you to watch the middle of the pack.
Yeah,
to see what was happening there. So, I mean, that was good for me because I really haven't been paying much attention to the middle of the pack, which is almost always a huge upset. Every year, it's always something new and exciting. So, I'm now, tuned in to see what's happening in the middle of the pack.
Well, and I think the fact that this season, it's the height really of development of what this regulation of car is. Mm-hmm. So, we're seeing qualifying sessions where it's less than a second between, 1 and 20. So, in the race, cars are very evenly matched, which sometimes is a blessing. And then races like Suzuka, it's kind of a curse because everyone's so close together, it almost is hard for them to get around and do a whole lot different.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we shall look at our overall season bold predictions.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, mine is Lewis wins in red first. Got my points on the board for that one. A Williams podium. I think it's a matter of time, fellas. Just keep at it.
Yep.
Piastri asserts his dominance. Now, had he
Yes.
freaking passed Lando and Suzuka where I thought he was going to, I'd be starting to argue for that one.
I think you should get the point anyways because
I think before the season's over, I think he's
your
already
hands
showing
are
it.
tied. Yeah, and your hands are tied because of their strategy. But Piastri in every race has outdriven Lando. Whether they let him or not, he has.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like you can't stop him from being a good driver
Yeah.
unless you just hold him back. The problem is if they keep holding him back, he's going to find a way to get out of that contract and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Rachel's bold predictions: Lando continues bad starts.
No, I take that one back.
Well, but the thing is,
Uh,
he's not. I still. We should. It should have been Lando continues to have bad strategy, and I already gave you the points. Mercedes struggles. I think this one's going to bite you.
Yep.
Unless they bring some upgrades and
I
they just
thought
don't
Antonelli
work.
would be worse, and he's been great.
No, he's been
Oh,
lights
he's
out so
so
far.
good.
Yuki getting a podium. I
It's
think
happening.
I think he's in a better position to get one now that he's in a
It's
Red Bull.
happening.
And I think
Yeah.
there are enough races on the calendar that we will have at least one or two where the shit gets just flipped upside down, and
Yeah.
he does it.
Oh,
I
he's
want it to
gonna do
happen
it.
so bad.
That is happening.
Yep. So bold predictions for Bahrain.
That's gonna be tough. I think we'll see.
Yep, and
Mercedes.
it's your time to go first.
Oh
So you
yeah.
get to go first this week.
Well, I was going regardless. I think we'll see Mercedes. Mercedes definitely top 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say Merc podium, definitely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think I think barring anything crazy or them absolutely just bottling the strategy or there's a wreck, McLaren take this one. It doesn't matter if it's Oscar or Lando. McLaren should win this race.
Yes, they should. Yeah, I think this course is going to play to their strengths for sure.
And I will say, where you've got a Mercedes top 3, I think you will see a double Mercedes top 5. I truly think you will at this one.
Yeah, I think they're there. They're both really good drivers. I don't like George Russell at all, though, but that's fine.
But he's good at this track.
He's good, and he's getting very comfortable in that Mercedes.
Yeah.
So.
The only time, when he was first dropped into that Mercedes from Williams, he should have won that dang race.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think George will do well. All right.
I would like to see Williams. Williams is definitely. I think Alex Albon will be in the top 10, but I think both Williams will do well. Like Carlos is, he has to. He has to get better.
So
yeah. So I don't know.
I'm gonna give it to you as a Williams top 10, but if Carlos gets in there too, you get a bonus point.
I get a bonus point.
So we'll put an asterisk on there.
Yep.
Asterisk for Carlos. All right. And what's your last one?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. What am I gonna do for that? See, I've been backing Isaac a lot, but he hasn't done.
He's performed. He has.
Not. No, you know what? I'm going. Ollie Bierman.
Ooh,
top 10.
Ollie top 10. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, and Haas had a good car in China, which was that China and Bahrain are similar in a lot of instances. I feel like in terms of how that track plays out. I'm gonna say Yuki gets in his first top 10.
Yes, Yuki.
Yep. All right, so Rachel's got a Merc on the podium, a Williams top 10, a potential double Williams top 10, and then an Ollie Behrman top 10. And I've got a McLaren win, a Mercedes double top 5, and Yuki breaking the top 10 and getting some points for Red Bull.
I have high hopes for Yuki.
Well, there you have it, Zoomies. If you didn't notice this week, we also came out with our Instagram finally, so at HVAC Zoomies. So please make sure to go follow us and like our stuff on the gram. I know we've got more stuff that we'll start getting coordinated with, some reels and some other different content coming to that. But, we've been letting it bake and get ready so that social media is happy that we're there.
Mm-hmm.
We were definitely starting to work on reposting all the great F1 memes into our stories that we can find.
So good.
Yes. So please go check it out. Like, follow the show. Please make sure as you continue to listen to HVAC R&D as well for the regular show, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at hvac.rnd, and then on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Trade Hounds as the HVAC R&D podcast. Stay tuned for more of those shows. Stay tuned for the continued Zoomies Season 1 of bonus shows. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great week. Obey your traffic laws, but remember how much we love going fast. And we'll catch you guys next week and talk about Bahrain and get ready for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix right after that. So, peace, everybody.